didn't know what's coming, whether it's going to be 1 month. First, we thought it's going to be a few weeks, then it's going to be a few months, and then it lasted longer. I also got pregnant, and I was like, wow, what is happening? Where am I going to be? Where am I going to go back to work?
Because I see it, newer agents are struggling with getting the contracts in.
If you want to negotiate, I'm happy to negotiate right now in this market, but we're going to be llooking at homes that have been on the market
That nobody wants.
For 3 weeks. I usually say 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Let's look into those. And that's what I did.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We're back to doing our podcast. We haven't done it for quite a bit of time. So today I have Olena with me. And today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. Real estate market and a little bit about the journey of the real estate agent. You haven't been in the business for that long and you're already having some good success. So maybe we can start off with, you sharing a little bit of your story before you joined maybe the real estate career, so people get to know you a little better.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I have been in real estate it's going to be actually exactly 2 years this May when I got my license. I got my license very quick. Real estate school, couple weeks of school.
But why? Why real estate?
Why real estate? I didn't plan for it, but I was in the event industry for over 10 years. I was planning large-scale corporate social events for client corporations, and I worked for a couple different companies. And then COVID happened. So everything stopped. It was a shocker for me. I didn't know what's going to happen.
The whole event industry stopped.
Whole event industry just stopped.
Were you afraid? Were you
scared?
Yeah,
it was scary because I was, growing. I was working towards it. It was my dream job. I loved what I'm doing. I loved planning, details, clients. I was very happy with where I was. It was it's not easy job. It's very stressful, but we didn't know what's coming, whether it's going to be 1 month. First, we thought it's going to be a few weeks, then it's going to be a few months, and then it lasted longer. And then I decided to take some action because I also got pregnant. And I was like, wow, what is happening? Where am I going to be? Where am I going to go back to work? There is nowhere to go because no one was doing any events. Everything was shut down. So I thought, okay, what else can I do? And with my husband being an architect and with us buying our first property back in the day, we bought it in 2015. It was just about the time pre-COVID when we were thinking to start flipping homes.
Yeah.
We were thinking, why don't we try that? Because he have talked to some people that were successful, and he's an architect, very creative. We love the remodel, and we just actually went through full remodel of our house step by step. And I was like, hey, why not I do this real estate license? I'm at home. I'm pregnant. Let me do it. I'm like, okay. So I actually started an online course, and it didn't work for me because I was too distracted. I was doing everything besides learning. And then I gave birth. So I had my newborn baby. She was, 4 weeks old. And I'm like, I got to go back to real estate. I felt like I got to do this. So with my newborn baby, I went back to school, and I actually registered for in-person school. I'm like, this is the only way it's going to work. And I did 8 weeks, so 2 months in person. And then as soon as I finished the school, people told me, don't delay with your exam.
Yeah.
So I registered for my exam right away and passed it from the first try. So the whole school process was pretty easy for me.
Do you think you would recommend in person instead of online to anybody who's trying to get into
it worked for me.
Yeah.
It worked for me.
I did online when I was going through the school thing in 2017, but it took me a long time. It was 3 or 4 months.
It was taking me also 4 or 5 months. I was dragging it, and I was reading and on and off, and I'm like.
But then when you get into in person, it took you 2 months.
8 weeks. 8 weeks course.
Yeah.
And then so I started. I gave birth early February. I started in March. In May, I already had my license.
I have a question. How important you think that test is for the success in the business?
I mean, you have to pass it. You don't have a choice.
But how if somebody who's struggling with the book, does that mean that you're not going to be successful in real estate?
No. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it is important.
But if it's easy for you, does that mean that it's going to be easy for you in business?
I mean, it does say something if you're really struggling with it. I mean, because you have to remember things. You have to, still use your knowledge for a lot of things.
Yeah.
So if you can't pass the test, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is something wrong with
The book. There's something wrong with the book.
I mean, and some people comprehend things differently. It's easier for someone.
Yeah.
I can't say 100% that you're not going to be
Yeah,
successful.
some are visual, some are like to audio type.
Yeah,
and this is written
then
word, so.
if it's hard for you, listen to audio materials or read or go in person like I
YouTube
went.
channels, there's YouTube
but if
channels.
you cannot pass tests for a long time, then probably real estate isn't for you.
Okay, so you got a license, and then
I got my license, and then I listened to a bunch of podcasts, a bunch of YouTube. It was like, what do people do with licenses?
how many deals you closed your first full year?
Well, first full year is different because I actually joined a team. I was scared. And after listening a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of podcasts, how people start in real estate, and a lot of people were saying like, oh, okay, first year, first 9 months, you don't make anything and you only spend. And I was like, no, I cannot do that. And a lot of YouTubers, they suggested that you pick a strong realtor in your area. You find someone who closes a lot of deals and you see if you can, get in their team, get in their office. So that's what I did. That was my strategy. So first year, I actually did start out as a support person for a team of 5 realtors. So I did transaction coordination, I did marketing, client events, I did staging, helped out with new listings. And then the more I learned, the more tasks I was taking on. So by the end of the year, end of 6 months, I raised my hand and I said, I really want to start working with people because I feel like I want to do more. By that time, I already was doing listing descriptions, putting listings in MLS, staging, scheduling photographer, inspection.
So at that point, there's something next around the corner for you. Now you want to sell.
I wanted to sell because I knew I'm good at it. I knew people enjoy working with me. So I wanted to sell, and I really wanted to do a lot, but how the team was structured, there were other agents that were more experienced. So I was sort of assigned a rental role. So I was doing mostly rentals. So from that point in a year, I did 50 rentals.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I did 50 rentals and some sales.
What are your opinion on rentals for for agent who's starting out?
My personal opinion, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of the ways to approach the business.
Yeah. I'd say you should treat your first full year as an educational year still. Like you're still in the college. It's just a little bit of infield.
I mean, you got to see what works for you.
Yeah.
Because some people are intimidated by cold calling or door knocking or what other, ways to get clients. And I think rentals it's a great way to start business from
not because of the money it provides, but because of the knowledge you're going to gain.
Because of the knowledge, because of the people. Agents. And renters always turn into buyers. Not always, but with your help, with your educating, and you can practice on them, right?
Yeah.
You can try educating one renter, another renter,
sure.
And they have friends. So for me, I've met so many wonderful people that some of them never rented with me even. They found something on their own or they've stayed where they were, but they've recommended me to people who were looking to buy. Which I think was great. It worked out, and now I still have everything paying back to me. Those renters turning into buyers, a couple already did this year, and a lot of them have friends, relatives who want to buy. So
that's the game we're playing, right? We are looking for as many people as possible to know about us. What's the best way to have a person know about you? Then have them in front of you and talk about
you just meet them face to face. They're not some random people that you don't know. They've reached out to you, and rental people are sort of desperate because they need things quickly, and they need things.
Yeah.
Most
Urgency.
of the rentals are calling me, and I'm like, when are you looking to move? They're like, yesterday. They're like, we need it now.
Most of the time when they're looking
And
for
if you
right
make
now.
things happen to them, they're very loyal.
Yeah.
That's what I found about rentals. You know, when they're looking, they're not very loyal because they could look with multiple agents. But when you found them something, and especially when it was a difficult situation, when they had a dog or they had a low credit score or no income, and you've made it happen for them, they're going to be loyal.
Yeah.
They're going to recommend you. Like I had one family that I've helped, and they've brought me like, I don't know, 20 other leads that they were so happy that I was able to find them a solution because they were living in the hotel,
Yeah.
you know.
Every time they probably hear some rent or buy or something, they hear about you right away. They think about you right away.
And those people, they will remember you.
Yeah.
I think this is a great way. I would recommend it.
So at some point you wanted to say, hey, let me work with buyers and sellers now.
No, actually I still enjoy at least getting to know whoever is, you know, if I get any rental leads, I do my best to answer them, get their phone number, and actually talk to them live on the phone. So they get to know me a little better. So they get to hear how I answer questions, how I ask questions, and what information. Maybe I'm not going to be able to help them moving forward because I'm too busy. Or I even explain them honestly that right now it's springtime, that I have so many buyers looking that I just physically cannot accommodate rental showings because rental showings got to be quick too. You know, one day's rental on the market, another day's gone. So I just tell them that, you know, I cannot help you, but I either redirect them to someone or I also suggest them some other ways or some rental complexes that may work for them to look on their own and see, you know, and then I keep their information for my database.
So when you started in the business, you've only seen a busy market.
Yes.
You've only seen multiple offers market.
Yes.
You've only seen it's easy to sell and it's easy to rent out.
And it's hard to buy.
But hard to buy and find the rental. For example, I've seen 2017. That was slow. Fall 2017. I remember I was just starting out. I was slow anyways, but I remember experienced agents in my previous office would be like, what do you think about the market? What's going on? What do you think about the market? 5% interest rate. You know, it was kind of slow. I was like, I'm only seeing more and more people know about me, so it's all good for me. But now looking back, I'm like, you know, it's tough. It's tough. This market is tough for new agents. You have to know how to.
But we don't know any other market.
That's right.
So for us, it's okay. You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, you have to learn the game of how to now get the contract for a buyer. For example, if we're talking about buy and sell. For now, like if we're looking at your business, like what's the percentage of the buyers and what percentage of renters do you have right now?
Mostly buyers.
Mostly
buyers. I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And I'm a mom, and
how do you balance that?
It's difficult. It's difficult. I try to, you know, my goal was to time block sometimes for my family, which I try to have Sunday as my family day. So if I start working with someone, I explain to them. And what works for me is just being honest with people. If I tell them that I have a baby, listen, she's cute, little, 2 years old, and I want to be with her, you know, and most of the people understand it right away.
Sure.
We all human beings. We all, you know, have our own things that we need to attend to. And I tell them, listen, Sundays, I don't really do showings. We try to schedule everything during the week. And honestly, in today's market, from what I've seen, you don't want to go see properties on Sunday because if they go on the market Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, Saturday morning, they already have the contract. So there's no point. So that's what I tell them, that right now, going to see properties on Sunday, you either have a deadline on a Sunday by 5 p.m., so we're going to be running home, we're not going to be able to think through the strategy, and most likely it's just not going to be as successful. So I tell my clients that if this purchase is important for you, you know, you're not buying something little. It's, you know, it's for a lot of people, it's once in a lifetime, you know, purchase.
It's even worth taking a little bit of, go from work a little sooner.
Yeah. And I tell them that, hey, dedicate a day, you know, from my experience on listing sites, most of people want to list like Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
So maybe they do an open house on Saturday, Sunday. So it sells, within 3-4 days it sells.
For sure.
So I see that most of the properties hit the market that like Thursday, that's when we see a lot of properties coming.
Yeah. Like today's Thursday, we just posted one.
So that's why I say, hey, let's do a Friday. To me, Friday is such a good day to go for showings because we're the first one in the door. We have time to think about the strategy. I have time to actually harass the listing agent because, trying to get a hold of the, listing agent. If it's a Sunday and we saw it on a Sunday, then the deadline is 3 p.m. on Sunday. I need to figure out the strategy, how many offers are there, try to, see what is there that we can do to get that offer accepted. So I like Thursdays, Fridays for showings. Those are the best. Saturday's good, and Sunday's my family day. I try to do some weekdays, evenings that I would, take my daughter from the daycare earlier and we'll go do something.
Yeah. My wife is a mom and a realtor too,
Yeah.
And I see how sometimes, she's doing one thing and then there's a text and then there's phone calls. Everything's happening.
It's difficult. And kids
she's slowing down a little bit.
Yeah.
She's, slowing down a little bit because we got another one on the way. But, it's, like I remember that 2021 when I was on the road to close 130 deals. This you cannot sustain. This is not sustainable type of, 50 to 70 transactions a year is a very good in terms of I have a free time and I have good income, and it's growing because a lot of people, that's 50 to 70 clients that are doing deals with you. That's good for the next year, and it's gonna. That's like this is the sweetest spot in my opinion in terms of money and free time. Over that, it's too much. You have to start building out a little bit of a team of support and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even with that, I feel like you do need to outsource some things to free up your own time.
50 to 70 roughly. Yeah, you want to start like I was doing everything on my own, all the time, and that was wrong, but I just wanted to see how far can I go,
Yeah, I mean, you can push and you can work nights, days, mornings, But
recently you've been growing pretty good. Like what's been working? Do you have like something that's been something that you can put a finger on what you've been doing? Like lately you've been busy,
I was
and then you
busy.
only like 2 years in the business. Like it took me a year and a half. Okay, in the first year it's closed 2 deals, and the second year I closed 16. But I remember the first year and a half, there was barely something that I had my hands on.
I think it's just me talking to people more and more and about real estate.
Where do you meet them?
Oh, just friends.
Yeah.
Friends. I know
You
a
have
lot of people.
friends? Oh,
a lot of friends.
there you go.
Friends of friends.
Yeah.
I like to socialize. I like to network. I like to go to different events. I mean, I do come from event industry, so going out there to different, whether it's a mom, I don't know, some mom group, whether it's social dancing, like I meet people everywhere. And then
do you sell yourself on that you're a realtor, or you just
yeah, I mention it.
You all the time? Intentionally?
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. People ask
that's the thing.
People ask, what do you do for a living?
I can't do it.
No.
No. It's it's uncomfortable for me.
No,
I would call strangers, but I can't tell my friend to buy with me.
Yeah, no.
But now everybody knows.
With first, even my friends, what was the most difficult part? That even my friends, I felt like they knew I'm a realtor, but they still were.
Don't think you're good.
Yeah, because when you knew, I mean, probably even myself, if I would be buying back in the day and one of my friends would be a realtor, I would still be like, I don't know what she's doing, how good it is.
Let's crush one of the myths. Maybe some people think. I don't want to hire my friend because they want to know my financials. Because they're going to know my financials.
I mean, no, we don't look in your...
You don't know your financials.
No, I don't look in your pockets. You go to...
Because we don't even have access to it. We don't even see it. That goes to a lender.
You go to the lender, you show everything you got in your pockets, and all I see is the pre-approval for, a certain amount that we can shop for, and we go look for houses.
Yeah, and then all the numbers and all the financial stuff goes to the lender, and lenders can't share it with us. So
yeah, and me as a friend, or I would work harder to make sure that you get what you want and you're covered and all your questions are answered. I'm going to call that attorney 50 times. I'm going to make sure that you are covered and everything is done. Yeah.
What's your, you want to keep going in this industry and growing and growing and growing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then slowly transitioning maybe on the listing side more?
Not necessarily,
Yeah.
you know.
That's good.
I do want to do balance. I do like both. I like working with buyers a lot.
But it's tough right now.
It is tough, but I like tough. You know, it's
Ah.
fine. It's fine.
But do you think you can just what's something that new agents are struggling with right now? Because I see it, newer agents are struggling with getting the contracts in. You get a one property and get 10 buyers.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be really good.
Well, it's the thing also with the listing agents. They can also look you up.
Sure.
And if they
Hey, I
see,
got no time. As a listing
yeah,
agent.
but I feel that they also sometimes, if they see a strong agent on the other side, they would work, or they've worked with them in the past.
Oh yeah.
Because what worked with me once when I got my offer accepted, I worked with that agent in the past, and we were like, "Hey, we did a deal together once. Let's do it again."
Sure.
So then they pick your. So again, the longer you're in the business, it does work in your favor. But if you're newer, you just got to be persistent. I call.
You can't just send an offer and
No,
wait.
it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Yeah, I call, I text, I email. I have my lender call and text and email. I would try to reach out the listing agent, and sometimes it would be, this is their third assistant of an assistant, and you cannot get a hold of them. I will still keep trying. I'll text, I'll look up online, I'll see if I can find the cell phone.
Imagine this. You have 5 offers going out on Saturday. How is your weekend looking?
Busy.
It's like it's not just showing properties. It's not just writing offers. There's a lot of follow up.
Yeah.
And then just hearing, we took another offer. I'm sorry, we took another offer. We're like, I did so much, and they
Clients
took another.
don't see that. They don't realize. They're
so
like,
much
oh,
behind
write
the
me an
scenes.
offer. They think it's just, even like putting together a packet of documents, it does take time, right?
Sure.
But then what goes into that is researching, calling, and trying to negotiate. And not even negotiate, trying to find out what is there that we can do better than other people are doing.
Yeah, and it's sometimes asking the questions. I heard Dima the other day here. He was asking, I'm sorry for asking you this uncomfortable question, but is it a double-digit offer situation? He was just, she wouldn't tell, and he was just going around, and he would get his thing. He would get the information out. But it's an art of asking questions. What do you think about this price? What do you think if we did this? How do we stand out? Are we in the top 3 or not? What is the seller looking for so we can get it before you get into the multiple? These type of questions and putting listing agent to think and maybe say something that will help out. That's what you want to do.
Or like I usually ask how many offers. They're like, oh, we can't disclose. It's like, is it more than 2? Is it less than 5? Or is it more than 15?
Yeah, that's good.
So they're like, you're close.
Yesterday was like, is it double digit offer situation?
I mean,
that was funny. Yeah. So yeah, like
I also like the strategy when you throw a number at them. You say, how does that feel to your buyer? What do you think? But we do see these multiple offers. On the starter homes, I do start seeing. I have I had a couple clients who are looking for more expensive houses. There's 700s. Those sit on the market, and I see them slowly. Some prices are adjusting and they're going down, and they're they have not had such multiple. I feel like this battle is only around like 300s. Up to 400s. That's where the battle is right now.
Yeah,
for starter homes.
Sure, it's like interest rates. The higher price range, the much bigger effect they have.
Yeah.
Like we right now have a new construction in the city, and it's been slow throughout the winter, but now they start selling one by one.
Well, people don't have options. There's no inventory.
Yeah. We are 1.4 million homes short right now.
Yeah.
It's a 2-month inventory. Yeah. It's too low.
And it's going to take years to fulfill
So we're
that.
probably in this market for quite some time. And if somebody's listening and interested in the industry, that's the environment we're in. So you're probably going to be working with buyers in the beginning, and it's not just show homes and have it under contract. Everybody's used to like, I want to negotiate.
Yeah.
I'm the buyer. I want to negotiate.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. If I have people like that, I tell them, listen, if you want to negotiate, I'm happy to negotiate right now in this market. But we're going to be looking at homes that've been on the market
that nobody wants
for 3 weeks. I usually say 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Let's look into those. And that's what I did. I got a couple properties recently like that. We negotiated. We negotiated on the list price, and then we negotiated after inspection. Everything was normal, how it was before.
I have a question for you. What did you expect from this industry, and what disappointed you and didn't meet the expectation?
I mean, everybody was telling me, because before going into this industry, I've looked up some realtors too, Ukrainian, and I've invited them out for coffee. I invited Angelica, who is here. I knew she was a realtor, and I said, hey, let's go out for lunch. I invited a couple other realtors just to sit down and see, like, how many hours you work. What are your challenges? You know, I'm like, what income do you make? Does it pay off? You know,
came in prepared.
Yeah.
I was coming in, I had imagination. I went in and I'm like, whoa, that's different.
I wanted to hear from real people that I sort of know.
It's good.
So I've reached out, and I have no problem reaching out to people. I messaged them on social media, or if I had their cell phone.
I know you have no problems reaching out to people. We got 23 reviews recently for Google reviews in like a week or something.
Yeah, I just, and my expectations were and then people were saying, oh, it's so stressful. It is tough. And I'm like, you haven't been in hospitality, because that is also stressful. You are under a lot of pressure. You multitask. So it's related to me. So from what I felt real estate agents doing, you wear multiple hats.
Yes.
You communicate.
You're a marketer.
And communication, I think, is number one.
Oh, for sure.
For you to be a good realtor.
Read people.
Yeah. You have to communicate with your client, with other agents, with inspectors, with everyone. Communication is the key, and that's why I think it was easy for me, because that's what I was doing before. I was selling events for people, communicating, detailing them, making sure the deadlines are met, that everybody's happy, the event is seamless, successful. So it's like a transaction to me. So it transitioned from event planning, hospitality to real estate. It was very easy to transition from. I feel like it was a good background.
Here you are holding people's emotions.
Yeah.
And you have to carefully transfer them. And
you just answer their questions through the transaction. You navigate, you direct them, and then at the end, you have the finale when they got their home.
How important do you think that people a client's question? Like, how urgent is it? How important it is to answer right away?
It is important, but, you have to set up expectations and boundaries. I like to, and this is what I was taught in being in events industry. I was working with a lot of brides, and, once the bride, sometimes brides can't sleep over their wedding, oh my God. And she could wake up in the middle of the night being like, you get those emails. I mean, but most of the people would email, if it's in the middle of the night and they remember, but some people would text still. With real estate, I've got calls at 4 a.m., at 12 o'clock, when, people would call randomly because something came up on their mind, and they're like, start calling. And some of those 4 a.m. calls were because people were in a different state or a different country, and they were moving here, and they didn't think. They just question came up to their mind, and they're calling me. And so, I mean, I just try to set expectations, because that's how you at least get some time for yourself. If it's something important, I will answer right away. If I see that can wait, I would either not pick up the phone, and I'll text them back that I'll respond in the morning if it's like after my work hours, or if it's like a Sunday and I dedicated my Sunday to myself. If I see that this can wait, I will text them, let's chat tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow. But always I will respond, but I will say that let's chat tomorrow.
That's something I need to work on, because every time, for example, we do Friday meetings, we're talking for 2.5 hours. I open up my phone, it's full of emails, full of messages, and I go into the mode of like, I need to get to it, and it's something it's always there, it's always going to keep happening every single day forever.
Yeah. I think a lot of agents run, and I observe and I see that a lot of agents do. And I like to bring up, some agents say, "Oh, they make this show, not show. They show people that they work
24/7.
24/7. 8 p.m. I'm still showing properties.
Yes.
7 a.m. I'm already showing properties.
Yeah, 5 a.m. Good morning.
I'm on vacation and I'm on vacation writing offers. How many, all the agents do that so people see how busy you are and they always working, but it's not healthy. To me, you have to.
I did that too.
Yeah, I mean, and I see that and I don't like it. Because, we all work. Other people work too and they have their days off. And I feel like we need to, as realtors, as business owners, we need to educate people that we are human beings too. We have families and we need to sleep, eat, and have some time to ourselves too. So by educating people and telling them, hey, I cannot show your homes after, I tell them that I have to pick up my daughter from the daycare at 6 p.m. There are some evenings that I dedicated that are my evening for showings where my husband picks up my daughter or he, takes care. But you have to set up expectations that I cannot be showing you homes only after 7 p.m. because this is when your, day ends. But this is where my day ends too. And I want to, have dinner, spend time with my family. So setting up expectations is number one, what I recommend for real estate agents.
That's good.
Otherwise, it's easy for you to burn. And I just think that it's not healthy when you lose that balance. That balance is very hard to keep.
So yeah, I've had that. I figured that out a little later in the game.
Yeah.
I would work 24/7 Sunday any day, all the time, because I was I just wanted to grow.
Well, that was a lesson that I learned from events. It's like the art of telling people no. When you say yes, but no, when they're like, let's go see homes right now. And you're like, oh, let's go see homes right now. Where you have to say, well, right now I have something planned already. How about we go see it? It's urgent. So you cannot say, let's do it next week, but still prioritizing whatever you planned. If you plan something, like when I plan, and I'm still working on it, I really want to be good at it to time block my calendar. So I'm struggling still, but what things are important for me, like the team meetings or trainings, or I would try to, right now started blocking times for my database cleanup.
Yeah.
And protect those times. When you blocked something and I want to add some blocks for social media, and then when you blocked it and somebody says, oh, I want to go see a house, and you're like, okay, we can go see it in an hour, because, well, you cannot say that right now I'm doing, social media content, but you just say that you are working on a different project, or you're in the middle of something and you can call them back. But it is difficult to protect the time block that you want to do, because otherwise it's not going to get done. It will never be done.
But, think about sometimes when you try to block your time and do one thing. For example, what if your phone is dead and, it's off? You're doing that thing and nobody's bothering you. So it's possible to do. It's just, it's our own, we have to learn, you're running there's no boss. There's nobody who's controlling your time.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling you what to do. You figure out what you do on your own. And so sometimes we just being very easy on ourselves and not being held accountable. So these things, like, for example, if I'm home and doing something, it's getting halfway done. If I'm here, I'm getting it done. So, it's important. Like, for me, always, it's been phone calls and social media. It's been always the number 1 and 2 things I have to do. The rest is after that. Yeah. So it's good. You have to be consistent and, you thought it would be easier than it is?
Everybody was scaring me that it'd be super stressful.
Yeah.
It's not as stressful for me after my previous experience. So it's not as stressful as, depends on what's your background. People enter real estate from different backgrounds.
You already have?
So to me, it wasn't stressful. It was very similar to what I was doing. And I'm not disappointed at all. I am happy with where I am.
Should the buyers buy right now in 2023 with the high interest rates?
Yeah, they should.
Multiple offers?
Because, we don't know what's coming. Yeah. If they're not comfortable buying right now, they can wait. They just got to be, if they really need a place to live, then I don't see a purpose of waiting another 5-6 months, another year, because nothing's going to change that quick unless you're going to wait 10 years. Then with me right now, I try to lay out all the options for people, because when I was buying my property, I wasn't educated at all. I just kind of went in and bought it. And now after I got my license and after I started working, there is like a lot of aha things that I'm like, oh, I wish somebody would have told me that. Oh, and I wish somebody would have told me that. So right now, when I have people, I tell them all about like house hacking, and how if it's your first property. I just talked to one of my clients today, and she said, I want to look into condos and townhomes. And I'm like, have you thought about buying like a multi-unit, 2 units, living in one, renting out? And she's like, oh my gosh, it's a great idea. And I can buy that with like same down, 3% down, 3.5 or 5%. And I'm like, yeah, you can do that.
That's the value of the realtor. Sometimes people tell you one thing, but they just don't know about other options.
Or some people reaching out, they're like, we want to buy our first property. We're kind of bouncing off ideas whether we can buy a big house or buy something smaller. When I was buying, I wish I would have bought something smaller and then within a year bought something bigger. Yeah. Because I would have put 3.5% down on one. But then now I went backwards and I bought my property and then I had to buy 25% down for my investment properties.
Yeah, that was my mistake too when I was starting out. I kept buying condos. When I was buying for myself, I kept buying condos. I should have bought buildings. Oh. Should have bought 3.5% down on the building, 3.5% on the building, keep moving up. I would have had a couple buildings by now.
Did you have a good realtor?
I was my own realtor.
Oh, you got
not knowing anything.
You got your license and you went
2017, yeah. The first condo I bought, I got my license and I bought myself a condo. That was my first deal, and I remember, I didn't know how to do anything. So, but I remember asking the lender. I had a question for him. Is HOA included in my mortgage payments? Mm-hmm. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. So I'm waking up in the middle of I'm doing something. I'm like, oh, that's my question. It's not on the closing disclosure. Where am I playing? He wouldn't pick up. And he didn't answer that for the next day too. And I was really pissed because he didn't answer my question. He didn't pick up and he didn't answer. I texted him and he never answered it. Only on the closing he said, congratulations. Man, I already know the answer. I figured it out, but that was too much of a stress for me.
Just thinking it over and over.
So like right now I see texts, I'm like, that's the first thing I'm jumping on them all the time, because I remember that feeling that I had. Those questions and emotions are like so fragile. That you just make a little bit of too much of a drag, I think, for me. And sometimes they might change their mind that, they might start being mad at you a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then once you go back to them and answer the question, they get back to loving you again. But it's very it's a very thin and fine line. And a lot of times I remember when I just start out with people, working with people that don't know me quite good, and they're not coming from the social media, but they know me. Like, for example, I either cold called and we kind of get together, and then they think that I'm a good realtor. We start working together. They don't know me that good. And I see that sometimes every time there's a question, they come at you like, hey, they're thinking that you're not good. And then, so there's a lot of selling yourself you have to do up front. And then they're like, okay, he's good. Okay, so he's caring about me. So, okay, and then sometimes they think they sign a contract and they give it to you. Now you're in control. And so sometimes they think that, now let's see how you're acting now versus you were before the contract was signed. I see that in people like very often, like a lot of people that come to you from social media and referrals. Those are easy clients. They're pre-sold. They kind of know you a little bit more. But those that are coming to you as a cold reach from mailers or something, they are not trusting you as much. So it's good also to pre-sell yourself before you meet them. Maybe send them out something. And remember that it's just going to be a natural process of them not believing you all the way. And they are testing you a little bit, even after the contract is signed with you,
Yeah, and for me, all of my clients were so far just the referrals.
I know,
don't know. I mean, some
And you can be good at the level with only referrals. You can do it 50 deals, only referrals, no problem. Once you want to go higher and higher and higher and shift to more sellers and controlling your time even more, that's when you start tapping into cold markets. Right. And that's when you start developing a little bit more of you do a little more selling yourself. Because referrals, like, you kind of done already 80% of the job.
Yeah. I mean, but also referrals, you always have to go back to them and kind of nurture them.
For sure.
because
stay top of mind.
Because I feel like if you will leave them alone and you feel like they will remember about you without you doing nothing, people forget. People forget too. So you have to go back to them and touch them and go through your phone book and see, when have you talked to this person last?
Are you worried about the market, real estate market at all?
No.
Are you ever thinking about where the market's going?
I am thinking because I'm also wanting to invest myself. But lately, I've been losing on my own offers.
I know.
These cash
Tell me
offers.
about it.
These cash offers are coming in. People pulling out cash out of their.
I keep buying. I keep trying to buy a 6-flat. Can't buy it.
And
the numbers are just.
And I just want to buy. I like the townhomes, and I just want to buy my next investment property.
That's good.
And we keep losing on my own for my own offers.
Sure, of course.
And
then you're gonna be losing on your own more than on your clients because you have your emotions.
Well,
in the market where it's competitive, plus your emotions, and you're yourself a realtor, you don't see things that you would see for our clients.
Yeah.
So
And I'm also not willing to pay as much because I do the numbers and I'm like, no, I want my cash flow and I want the good location and everything.
You need a realtor, like all us. Like I was buying a house, I made mistakes. I'm buying my investments. It's I was buying always investments in the market where I can negotiate. Mm-hmm. In the market where I have to overpay, I never bought anything. I always been
it feels like you're being robbed. Because you overpaying and then your payments don't make sense right now. With how much you have to put over. Like we just put a townhome under the contract. We did $27,000 over asking on a townhome that was listed for $250,000. So when I do the numbers and I do my monthly payments and how much I can rent it for, that's why we see these crazy rent prices for a 2-bedroom for $2,000 because people have to cover their mortgages, even the investors and people are shocked.
You know what might happen? If, for example, the pool of tenants drops down, it's probably never going to happen. But if those who have lower interest rates can drop the rent price. Those who have high rent interest rates.
Well, if they refinance.
What? With what? The higher interest rates are still higher interest rates.
If they go higher, they can't.
They're still at 6, so you can't do anything about it. So if you have a high interest rate, you can't go down on the rent price.
Well, I don't think the amount of renters is going to go down because people can't afford to buy. Yeah. And it's...
No, we don't have enough supply. So it's just there's a lot of renters and there's a lot of buyers.
I feel like... I personally feel like the prices are going to have to come down a bit.
When?
Give
us the prediction.
Nobody gives predictions. My personal opinion is this fall.
Why? Why do you think the price is going to come down?
Because we need people buy homes and they cannot buy homes.
Then do 40 years mortgage. Like price come down?
Yeah.
No. I'm the seller? No.
They got to come down a bit to be how.
But we don't have supply. Like if there's no supply, there's a lot of demand.
Well, because people who bought with low mortgages, they just sit on their properties and they don't want to list them because.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, I wouldn't list too.
Yeah,
I don't want to list my house because
the only ones that are maybe absentee owners, people who move out of state. Those who are retiring, maybe moving out of state again. Those are who inherit; they don't need the properties. Yeah. Those would be the sellers. But that's not enough.
Yeah, because before, if you're like, I have a 3-bedroom house, I want a 4-bedroom. Let me just, or I live in this neighborhood. How about I'm moving here? But now you have your house with a good mortgage rate, and you're not going to be like, but the same house with a current payment is just going to be so much more for you. So people just sit.
I just posted a thing on Instagram today from CNBC or something that people do rehabs versus selling and buying. They're doing additions, they're doing rehabs.
Yeah.
And they have equities in houses. You create a HELOC, home equity line of credit, and you use that money. If you don't have extra cash, you use that money because the market just improved and there's more equity in your home. You do the money and then you do your upgrades.
I was going to look into HELOCs. I think,
HELOC is a good option because you can keep the first mortgage at your interest rate the way you have it, and you have additional mortgage, which works as a credit card. You use it, you pay on it. If you're not using it, it just sit there as a option. So
Yeah, it's a good point to look into that option.
yeah, a lot of people are going to do it because the prices went up and everybody's got equity.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that for upgrades if you want to do something about the space in your home. If there's opportunity, you can make an addition, go up, or just make it look more beautiful. What about the realtors? If somebody wants to get into the business, what's the biggest downside of the career in real estate, in your opinion?
I don't see any downsides.
Okay.
No, there's no downsides. It's a phenomenal career. You got to love what you do. You got to love people. That's the thing. You got to love people and working with people, talking to people, communicating with people, protecting their interests, and it's just if you love what you do, I don't see any downsides. Yes, it's, stressful sometimes. Time management, just kind of being hectic sometimes. You plan one thing and then your day snowballs. But it's also fun. It's challenging. I don't see any downsides.
Yeah, it's fun for sure. It's fun. Every day you meet new people.
You meet new people. You
don't do any
friends.
physical work.
I mean,
the hardest thing you carry probably like a laptop.
Sometimes you have
heaviest.
to climb under the bush to open the log box, or sometimes,
yeah, here and there. Yeah, in the wintertime it's tough to open up.
Or if you do staging, if you're listing something and you want to make the place look nicer and you want to bring some stagers, you may.
My first listing, my very, very first listing that took me a year to sell, I was physically moving boxes. There was a full basement of boxes. And I was thinking, if this is how I'm going to be selling houses, I'm a mover. I wasn't signing up for this,
Yeah.
So I remember, that was tough.
I'm very particular because even before I got my license, my husband does a lot of photography for nice homes. He works with couple people who design kitchens, so they hire him to photograph nice properties for magazines, for their advertising, and I would help him out on staging. And he also back in the day worked with some realtors who would list nice properties. So he had a drone, so I would come out and help staging. I'm very particular how things look. I like moving them certain ways so they look nice on the pictures because I'm a visual person. I sometimes see a good property, and for people it's so hard to visualize of what it's going to look when it's decluttered.
For sure.
So I have to convince people. I'm like, please, let's give it a chance. Let's go. I know it looks awful and it's full of junk, but we have to go see it. And when the same exact property is listed, all nice and clean and have either staging or just a nice decor.
Yeah, sometimes little staging, for me, it's a little bit hard to visualize things. Mm-hmm. So staging, changes everything for me.
Yeah. And it's just me going out on tours with buyers. I see how when they walk in, when the property's overpriced, not as good as, some others, but it's clean, has nice colors, everything is, modern, and they're like, oh, we like it. I'm like, why? Because it's pretty. And I'm like, yeah, it has old roof, old windows, just because it has a couple nice couches and fresh flowers and nice pictures. People see it and they visualize themselves in that property because they can see where they, sit and watch TV. This is where, she cooks and everything is nice and clean and fresh. So, yeah.
You watch any TV shows?
No.
Not Selling Sunset even?
No, movies. I watch the movies.
How about new listing, $1 million listing?
No time. No time for that.
Real estate stuff.
No, I read some books sometimes. I watch movies and listen some podcasts.
There's a new season of Selling Sunset coming out. You gotta watch it. It's not much about real estate. It's a little bit about
my husband doesn't allow me watching. Yeah. I'm getting addicted.
Everybody's getting addicted.
If I watched Game of Thrones or some other TV shows, I get so addicted that I'm not gonna go to sleep until I watch the entire season.
I see. Yeah. I don't watch too much too, but here and there, I've started watching the Selling Sunset thing, but it's not about real estate. There's a little bit of real estate in there, but it's all office drama. Okay, Helen, thanks so much. Thanks so much for today's episode. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you want to find Helen, she's on Instagram.
Facebook.
You got YouTube?
No YouTube.
We're going to start a YouTube channel.
One day.
Yeah. Like the video, subscribe, and then let us know if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.
Thank you.